Well, you still have time to get today's Delmarva Life Daily Deal. Today's deal, 50% off a 1-month unlimited tanning package from Sunday's Tanning Salon in Milford. To get the deal, go to delmarvalife.com. You'll find the daily deal on the right side of our homepage.
It is no news to you. You know there is a lot of history right here on the peninsula, and there are many museums that showcase it all. One of those is in Seaford. It's a state-of-the-art museum. The location itself has a story. It opened in 2002. The museum has hundreds of artifacts inside, all tied together in a timeline. Delmarva Life's Brian Spiros is at that museum right now. And Brian, the museum has earned quite the reputation.
Well, it certainly has, Jimmy. It's been referred to as a jewel and is actually set up in what used to be the old post office. And I am here now with Janet Jones, who is the museum manager. Janet, you know, there is a lot of stuff here in this museum, but it is set up in a very easy way for everyone to understand. Explain briefly.
We're on a timeline covering the history of not only Seaford, but western Sussex County, starting with Captain John Smith coming up the Nanticoke River in 1608 and going through to the present time.
And all the points in between.
And all the points in between.
And one of the things I want to first talk about is this bridge. It has a story and the mural. So why don't you tell us just a little bit about this?
This represents the first bridge across the Nanticoke River, which was a wooden bridge. Prior to that, people had to travel by boat to get across the river. This mural depicts life along the Nanticoke waterfront, probably in about 1910. It was taken from actual photographs. You can see all the oyster and crab houses along the river, and also by this time the railroad had been extended across the river, which is depicted here as well. But the thing that is probably the most significant is that after the railroad came, canning factories sprung up in this area. Seaford actually housing the largest canning factory in the world, right here in Seaford.
That's interesting. Many people probably don't even realize that.
That's correct. That's correct.
All right, so we have the mural here, the bridge. We're going to keep walking. There's an interesting story over here. We have this boat that's in the showcase cabinet. Explain a little bit about this boat, because it has a really interesting story.
This is a replica of the last sailing ram that was built here in this area. Actually, Seaford was its home port. Sailing rams were very popular in the late 1800s, early 1900s, because they could maneuver the waters very, very easily. But this boat was sold probably about 25 years ago to a company in Maine, and they still take it out on excursions. They have rechristened it the Victory Chimes, and they have put it on the back of their main state quarter.
Right on the state quarter.
Yeah, and we've asked them several times if they wouldn't want to give it back to us because it was built here, but they're not interested in doing that.
They're not playing ball with you guys. They don't want to. So, you know, there's a lot of interesting stuff in here, and you guys actually, as we had said earlier, you guys opened up in 2003, and you're actually expanding now. You've added on a wing. Explain to me when it's going to open and what it's going to be.
The old loading dock, when it was a post office, has been enclosed, and we're in the process of setting up a maritime exhibit in that space, showcasing shad fishing on the Nanticoke, the steamboats, which were there's a huge history steamboats on the Nanticoke River. So it's going to be our maritime wing.
And just added to the many stories that are all here. Now, we're going to give people the information about the museum. It's open Thursday through Sundays from 1 in the afternoon to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Admission is $5, and kids are free. That's an important part there. So obviously just a lot of stories here, and there's a lot more where these came from, the ones we've just discussed. All right, Janet, thank you very much. And now, Jimmy, actually, one of the interesting things that I've seen here, and again, there's so many interesting stories, there is actually a rock inside this museum that the Smithsonian says is the most valuable item inside this museum. So if that's not making you want to come down here and check it out, I don't know what will. So definitely come down and check it out. And for more information on the Seaford Museum, you can go to our website, delmarvalife.com, and click on the show tab. And Jimmy, with that said, we're going to send it back into you.
A rock. A rock. I gotta go see the rock.
You heard me.
Brian, thank you. Appreciate that. Well, next on Delmarva Life, wait till you see this. Take a look at all of this beautiful glass art. The local artist behind these pieces of work joins us next on Delmarva Life.